This is the Masada 9S from Israeli Weapon Industries, or IWI. This is their dive into the market of ultra-compact, slimline, or micro-compact pistols in the 9mm striker-fired game that seem to be growing ever more popular. The Masada 9S seems to be picking up a lot of steam in the market recently, and I have gotten a bunch of comments and requests to do a review on this and see if this is going to turn out to be what a lot of people in the comment section or on the internet have said to be a Glock 43X or 48 killer. All right, everybody, so the Masada 9S, that little fella right there. So the one that a bunch of people in the comments have requested and likened it to a Glock 43X or 48 killer. So we're definitely gonna discuss that today. We're gonna talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, what I think is right, what is wrong, what it should come with when it comes to the 9S, because this is a newer pistol. And of course, people have also been asking for the full-size big brother. So I got the tactical version of the Masada right here to throw it in the mix with everything else that seems to be going on in the market with so many new offerings, it seems like. But as usual, everybody wants to compare this to the Glock. Like I said, this is a striker-fired 9mm pistol from IWI, or Israeli Weapon Industries. If you don't know who they are, they make stuff like the Tavor, they make the Galil, the Desert Eagle, and of course, a huge fan favorite here on the channel, this one.
The Uzi 9mm.
You know your weapons, buddy.
So IWI is a well-established brand in the industry, and they've given us another piece of tactical Tupperware to use out on the range, also known as a striker-fired pistol. So this is 9mm. It will come with 2. It should be 3, because 3 is the magic number for magazines, like I say with everything. But you get 2 13-round steel magazines, which seem to be very good quality and didn't give any feeding problems out on the range. You will have single-sided controls on the magazine release and the slide stop slide release. They seem to be in the right place, and they did everything they needed to do. You will get pretty good texture when it comes to the grip. It's kind of a sandpaper-esque kind of form to it. It's not bad, it's not great, it's just kind of there, and you're gonna be able to use it. You're gonna have very good front and rear serrations on the slide, so whether you wanna work it from the back or the front, you're gonna be good to go. You'll have a decent set of metal sights with a blacked out rear and a white dot front, which is not bad at all. Overall, the ergonomics on this pistol are going to be very solid, less aggressive than, say, a Glock if you're not into those hard angles. So a lot of you will be very comfortable with this more neutral grip angle. You're gonna have a solid undercut on that trigger guard. It is a bit extended as compared to some other micro or smaller stuff. So you people with those long fingers, you're gonna be doing just fine to get the finger in the trigger guard. One of the cool things here, it is a chassis design like the SIG 365 or the Beretta APX series, which is awesome because should you ever bust up the pistol grip, you can just put that chassis in a new one and hopefully some aftermarket stuff will come out. You're gonna have a pretty good flat face trigger, but we're gonna talk more about that trigger because we definitely have to do some pulls on this because although it is pretty good, I do have a few bones to pick with it. And for my full spec army out there, I would never forget about you. So here you go with a little bit of elevator music. All right, I know some of you just love all those specs, and of course some of you like that music. If you don't like that music, let me know what type of music you want to hear next time on the spec sheet. So let's talk about the range performance, where the rubber meets the road here. 9mm, I ran the basic ball, all the junk ammo that I have. Not junk, but basic ball stuff, right? Some PMC, some white box, all that stuff. I also ran a couple boxes of my typical self-defense ammo, which is gonna be Hornady Critical Duty or the Spear Gold Dot 124. I just had a couple boxes laying around. That's all I ran through it, and it ran through all of it just fine. The ergonomics of it out on the range are actually quite nice. I like the less aggressive grip angle. And the size and kind of weight of it are very similar to a Glock 43X, a little bit heavier, so I do find that you can handle the recoil impulse on this thing with a little bit more ease than some of the other things out there in the micro or slimline or ultra compact category. It does have a pretty low bore axis, which can help you control recoil impulse, especially on these smaller, shorter, slided, kind of snap and turtle style pistols that we all want to carry around these days because it just makes life easier rather than jamming a full-size pistol in your belt line. The sights on here are not bad at all. You got a darked out serrated rear and you do have a white dot front. So they're gonna do everything you need them to do. And they should co-witness with most of your micro pistol red dot optics out there in the market. So you're gonna have some backup sights should you ever destroy your optic. When running it out on the range, the controls seem to be in the right place and they seem to be the right size. A lot of times with smaller or micro or subcompact pistols, they've either shranken them up so much or made the controls so slim and close to the pistol grip or the slide that sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to activate either the magazine release or that slide stop slide release. So with the Masada 9S, I found the controls to be right where I thought they were going to be, and they were of ample size to effectively use when you're doing magazine exchanges or dropping that slide. Now, remember a couple minutes ago when I talked about that trigger? So it is a metal trigger, flat design with some serrations on it, and that trigger shoe safety does go flush. But there were a couple things I noticed about how the activation of the trigger and the reset kind of felt. And for that, we have to take a good up-close look at it. Of course, look at the overall pistol and then do some trigger pulls so you can see what the trigger is going to be like in this compared to other things out in the market. All right, we're going to take a little bit of an up-close look here at the Masada 9S and of course talk about that trigger. But I know some of you really want to know what this pistol comes with. It's going to come in a cardboard box. You've got some probably water jet cut foam in here. You're going to get a sticker. You're going to get like a little keychain thing right here, a couple scan things right there for your manual and all that stuff. You'll get a little wrench and some screws for your optic. You'll get a lock, you'll get a spare mag, and that is really all that it comes with. So kind of no frills, which is fine with me. Again, this is a chassis system. The breakdown is pretty interesting because you just push this little button aside and then there's a little pin that you pull out with your finger, and I'll throw a photo of that up in here or a little bit of B-roll so you can understand what I'm talking about. So let's talk about that trigger right there. Overall, not bad. It's got some good looks to it, but let's see what we got. Pretty decent amount of take up right there. I'm gonna be honest, that's a lot. And then you have a wall, pretty solid, a little bit of creep, and then a brake. The brake is a little hard to find, so it just kind of happens. Reset is very, very difficult to feel as well, at least it is to me. And then there's that brake again. So it does brake after that 90-degree mark. So pay attention to where that trigger shoe is and where it breaks. So there's not a real ton of over travel, but you can see how far back it is once the trigger breaks and then once it resets. So it's just a little bit different, and every company does obviously their striker fired triggers a little bit different. So let's go ahead and do 3 pulls on this thing unless I do something weird and get a abnormal number, but it's probably going to be right around that 5.5 pound mark. So 5 pounds, 6 ounces on that one. Let's get that one entered. We'll do a couple more. All right, 5 pounds, 6 ounces again, right on the head. And I'm actually pulling really low on that trigger shoe already. So if I pull maybe kind of more midpoint of the trigger, slip down, it'll probably go up, and it did. So we're gonna have an average right there of 5 pounds, 9 ounces. So overall, that is not bad. Good looking pistol. Reference for you that have double XL or XL size hands right there. You can see kind of how it fits in the hand up close. Not bad, has a great overall feel to it as far as the angles and everything else goes. And then honestly, about as thick as a finger. A little bit wider than a 43x48, but pretty clean design overall. All right, well, you've got the specs, you've seen the range performance, so let's talk about the pros, cons, my final thoughts, and is this gonna be a Glock 43X, 48, or SIG 365 killer? Because that's what a lot of people out there said, but I've heard that before. The performance on this was really good. No choking, gagging, or breaking on the range, which is obviously optimal. Ergonomics wise and felt recoil, it's actually quite good. Much like the 43X or the 48, I find that it seems to be just the right size to where it's small enough to very comfortably and easily control and carry. And those are 2 big things, carryability and controllability. When you can find the 2 that kind of marry in there together with some pistol out there, I think you really have kind of found a gem. And I think this size-wise and performance fits. The chassis system is very cool, and I'm happy to see more and more manufacturers going to that. The trigger, not so great. It's okay. It's not terrible for a striker fired pistol, but it's not the best one out there. It's not the worst one. It just kind of left me with a weird feeling that I couldn't predictably find the brake the same time, and the reset was a little bit anemic, so I had some trouble with that. And that would be fixed by more and more training and more carrying, but I think compared to some other things out in the market, although it is fairly light, it's pretty clean, it's just not really a standout. The texture on the grip seems to be a little bit lacking. It's kind of smooth and slippery, and it just seems to be that they could have put it on several more areas. You're also not going to get an accessory rail out front, so if you want to carry a light, you're going to have to find a clamshell style design, or hope they come out with a Gen 2 like Glock did that gives you a rail and maybe a different colored slide. And for its size, it is slightly portly. So it comes in at 20 ounces, which is, I think, is about 4 ounces almost heavier than like a 43X or something like that. You can check me in the comments if I'm wrong, I'm going off memory. But I noticed immediately that it was quite a bit heavier than other things in the same size category that I've carried before. When it comes to accessories and holsters, mags, upgrades, things like that, you might have a little bit of trouble because the Masada line is well proven, but it's just not widely carried by many at this point. So there's probably some stuff out there, but it could be a little bit more difficult if you like to like bedazzle every pistol you own, or you're looking for a specific holster manufacturer like Tier 1 Concealed, which is what I like to carry along with LAS. You might not be able to find the holster brand you want to go with. So that's always something to take into concern because holsters make a huge difference when it comes to that comfort and carryability. Now, price-wise, this thing can be had for 414 bucks, and I have to say, for what it is, the performance and the overall feel of this taken into account, that is extremely solid. All right, so is the Masada 9S a Glock killer when it comes to like a 43X or something? Simply put, no. I'm not the biggest Glock fan in the world, but I do really appreciate the 43X. It really gives you a lot. The Masada 9S does have some advantages. Overall, the magazines are going to give you a few more rounds, 13s instead of 10s. You are going to get a little bit better of a trigger, but you're losing a rail attachment, you're picking up some weight. Price is also another advantage for the Masada. So is it an overall decimator of a 43X? No. Is it a really good solid choice? I think absolutely, and I think I'm going to give it the old college try, carry it, get a couple thousand rounds through it, and then do a follow-up video on it, because I really do think at 414, if it gave you like a rail attachment area, I think this would really be a huge contender in the market that more people would be open to in the line of people who would normally carry a Glock or a SIG. But for now, I've got a few hundred rounds and we're gonna keep it going. And like I said, I did buy the Masada Tactical, the full-size version right there. That's kind of the Glock 17 comparison. So I will have a video coming on that one real soon, so keep an eye out for that. But overall, IWI is well proven. They produce a solid product. It's been used around the world a lot, especially over in Israel where it is made. And it's a solid product, it runs good. And I think the only people that would really be turned off by an IWI or the 9S or even the Masada full size are people that are maybe brand loyalists to other companies. Get out on the range, make sure you get subbed up down below. Remember, if you stay ready and gotta get ready, I will see you all on the next one.